Ptolemy Henkel paused to think. He'd managed to hold the giant's attention through 2 prologue chapters. But did he dare attempt a third?
Well, I guess we can get back to the ball.
That seemed to answer that. But Ptolemy wasn't about to be dissuaded so easily. This was a good way to fill time, and he wasn't about to give that up without a fight. Claude, my boy, we can't just go back to the ball. You don't know anything about where Glimki has been.
Oh, sorry. It just didn't seem like that would have a lot of bearing on what's currently happening in the story.
He was right. But Ptolemy needed to stall for time. And frankly, he was running out of ideas. Besides, it's not like Glimki's backstory was totally removed from the current story. It would just require an expansive viewpoint on what constituted relevant information. Club. How could you possibly know what would have a bearing on what, given that you don't know the story that's being told?
That's a good point. Perhaps it just requires a more expansive viewpoint on what constitutes relevant information.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Anyways, back to the story. Come gather round, travelers, and sit on the stoop. We'll tell you a story about Bard Soup. 3 lovable scamps in our traveling troupe. We'll tell you a story about Bard Soup. Our story begins, or perhaps it is yet to begin, in the sprawling lands of Dwells. At its simplest, Dwells is the home of gnomes. It is where the many gnomes of Zav originated, but it is so much more than that. It is here amongst rolling hills, gently trickling streams, and small forests that the gnomes of Zav live their simple lives. The gnomes live life to live, doing everything they can to squeeze as much as they can out of their time on Zav. There are dozens of villages and hamlets spread out throughout Dwells, although many choose to view Dwells as one big village, where all are welcome. Many gnomes call this place home, bearing a wide array of family names, but all can be traced back to 5 main lineages: the Pickertons, the Rockbottoms, the Tinkermans, the Baskers, and the Treefellows. It is the last of these family names that you, Glimki Treefellow, belong to. Broadly speaking, the different families of Dwells all contribute in a very specific way to life here. And your family, as Treefellows, have a long, proud tradition of helping keep the land safe from wandering beasts and troublemakers that would seek to disrupt the peaceful ways of Dwells. Dwells sits between the sprawling elven forest kingdom of Ulyth Orthiad to the north, and the sprawling wilds to the east, both of which contain their fair share of threats, although none have disturbed Dwells in several years at this point. The worst you've had to contend with is perhaps the occasional bear or drunken gnome who's had a bit too much to drink, although the Quarrels are a particularly surly group of gnomes that often make a bit of a ruckus when they can. However, that is all distant on Glimki's mind, not really something he's worried about, because we join him today, early in the morning, on a fine fall day. Pharos, the Sun Phoenix, has nearly completed its journey from Golo, the large moon, to Ketchul, the small moon, and winter will soon be upon you. Despite the changing seasons, Glimki has bigger things to worry about, because today is his last day in Dwells. Tomorrow, he begins a journey. He begins to wayfare, a proud, time-honored tradition in which a gnome of Dwells sets out to see the larger world. And this may last for a few months or years, and some choose never to return. The last 5 days have been filled with partying and celebrations as gnomes throughout Dwells have come to your home in Glenhaven, a town or village where you have lived your whole life with your family. This has been the only life you've ever known, and tomorrow that all changes. We kind of zoom into a small bedroom in a cozy cottage, and we see a young, relatively speaking, gnome. Could you tell me what Glimki looks like?
So, Glimki stands at a nice 3'3". He's not the tallest of fellows, but not the shortest of gnomes. He's kind of got some lightish brown, messy, curly hair, and I guess at the moment he's packing his leathers and his satchels, going over I guess every list and making sure he's got everything that he's been needing for this trip at this point. There's definitely a nervousness to him as he kind of like thinks about the journey ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as you are packing up your belongings, you intend to set out early the next day. You don't want to waste too much time. You know that it's going to get cold sooner rather than later, and you don't want to waste good travel days with winter looming. The thing about Zav, as you know, and if our audience hasn't picked up on it by this point, then I'm doing a bad job, is it is a flat world.
Mm-hmm.
And as such, there's not really Arctic regions so much. There's not like a land of perpetual frost. There's mountains and things get snowy, and maybe they stay snowier for longer than other parts of the world. But kind of when winter hits, unless you're on the islands, it's going to get a little cold. It's going to get snowy, with some exceptions. And so, yeah, with that in mind, you're packing up, you're getting ready to go, and there is a small knock on the door.
Oh, come in.
The door opens, and you see your father, Frankie. He's this older, at least older than you, gnomish man. He's kind of got a full head of hair, but it's mostly gray. He's got kind of a nice beard, actually, almost like a lighthouse keeper, like salt and pepper beard. And he comes in and he says, "Hey, son, just wanted to see how you were doing."
Well, I'm doing good. I'm just trying to make sure that I have everything that I need. Are you sure? Just one cloak is good, or should I bring like a more? Or...
Well, that's tough. I mean, on one hand, you don't want to be, carrying too much stuff with you. On the other hand, well, winter's coming. It might be nice to bring your thicker cloak and then have something a little lighter for spring.
Right. Thicker and then a lighter one. Okay.
But at the same time, I mean, you're going to be gone for probably quite some time, I imagine. And you're not going to be able to bring everything you want for the entire trip. You're going to have to resupply at some point. You might be better off just selling what you don't need and buying new. Perhaps you find some pilgrims you can trade with, and
yeah, Glimke's looking at the pile of stuff that he's like set out on his bed, and it's like you can tell it's just beyond what any one man should be able to pack in a bag.
Fair, very fair. He says, there's a shop. I mean, I stopped there when I wayfared, and I'm not sure if it'd be the same owners these days, but it's east of here, a town called Little Hambling. I remember when I was there, I bought a second cloak on the road, and they gave me a fair price. And yeah, the town was Little Hambling. I think the shop was Bodkins on the Cross, and they gave me a fair price and treated me kindly. And what else can you ask for?
That sounds like a good plan.
You're gonna meet some kind people. You're gonna meet some unkind people. The world's different outside of Dwells. I hope we've made that clear to you.
I think if anything, that's the only reason I'm really nervous, Dad. The people here have been nothing but supportive. But there's stories, of course.
Except for the Quarrels, but besides that.
I mean, but I think we all can get a little rough when we've had a bit to drink, right?
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right, but you're gonna be okay. And he kind of like claps you on the shoulder. He says, I'm really proud of you, son. You're gonna have an amazing time, and I can't wait to hear all about it when you come home. And he starts to tear up a little bit.
Hopefully, I can come home with some stories as cool as the siblings. They've all seem to have some amazing adventures.
Oh, oh, they did, and you will too. I wouldn't worry about that. But yeah, you better get that bag together. We gotta take off soon if we're gonna hit the tree by sunfall.
How is he seeming right now? Is he like
Yeah, give me an insight roll.
yeah? Oh, would you look at that? 17.
He's sad.
Mm-hmm.
On the scale of like closed off father figures, he's closer to the open ended scale.
Yeah,
He's
for
usually
sure.
pretty open with his feelings and whatnot. I think with a 17, you have a suspicion that he is sad to see you go, but also happy that you're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he's sad, but doesn't want you to see that he's sad. He doesn't want to take away from your excitement.
I gotcha.
A lot of competing emotions tugging at Frankie's features, but that's Dad's.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure that I get the bag packed. I got a couple of things to keep my eye out for. I know Folly's been asking me for all these books.
Oh, she will not stop talking about those books. If you don't
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back with at least a couple, then
Yeah.
oh, she's gonna be quite upset. I assure you
I
that.
will do my best. We'll see what I can find. Maybe that shop will have something. Who knows?
Well, he's about to explain like what retail is in the wider world, and then decides, no, this will be fun for you to figure out on your own. And bites his tongue. Says, "Yep, maybe." Yeah, he pats you on the shoulder once more, and then kind of strides out of the room. He's getting up there in years, but he's still very
Mhm.
spry, very active. Still works. Goes out on scouting trips from time to time. Make sure that reports of various things that go bump in the night are nothing more than stories and rumors and not some manticore or chimera or any other number of beasts that sometimes make their way in from the wilds or the enchanted forests. And yeah, I would say you finish packing up your bag and you go downstairs and you see that the house is empty, which is odd. For most of your life, there's always been someone running around, making noise, doing something. There's been times where it's been less full, where some of your older siblings have gone on journeys of their own. Things have gone a little more subdued, but never for long. They've always come back. And in recent years, some of your older siblings have started to start families of their own. Gloria and her husband, Warji, have 3 children of their own now, and Astric and his wife Isola, they have just had their first kid. The house is starting to refill with a new generation.
Mhm.
But you walk downstairs and things are quiet. And I think it's a little unsettling.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd like call out to anybody who might be home. But did everyone leave? Dad, are you still here?
There is no immediate response. And then about like 5-10 seconds later, the front door swings open and your older brother, Asdoni,
Yeah.
you tell me.
Asdoni.
He opens the door and you see he's a few decades older than you. He's around 120. He's got a similar, albeit a little shorter beard than your dad, and he's wearing this sort of tweed vest and pair of wooden clogs, and he kicks open the door and says, "Well, hurry up then. What are you doing? You're wasting all day."
Sorry. Let me get my stuff. Sorry.
Oh, boy.
I quickly gather up my things and run right back to the front foyer.
He kind of like reaches to put you in a bit of a chokehold. Give me an athletics or acrobatics check.
Okay. Hey, 14.
He reaches for you, and you're no stranger to his noogies, if you will.
Yeah.
And you duck out of the way and says, "Oh, come on, one more for the road. Come on."
Yeah, I roll my eyes a little bit and I kind of lean in.
Yeah, you submit, and he rubs your head real good, and he says, "You're gonna miss this."
I don't think I will.
He steps it back outside, and if you follow him, you see that a caravan has assembled sometime in the early hours of the morning. Like I said, over the last week or so, people from throughout Dwells have come to Glenhaven to celebrate your imminent departure. There are Sheldercombs and Bullwackets, Conwoods, Forettes, a few Scrafters and Stayfords, even a couple Scoopers and Burrowtons. People from all over Dwells from the surrounding villages have come to see Glimki Treefellow off. Your family are Treefellows. You are one of the 5, if the closest thing Dwells has to royalty. You are part of that, part of this honored lineage. But also deep down, you know that even if you were a lowly McDoodle, there would probably still be a similar turnout. Mm-hmm. The people of Dwells love to celebrate their own and send each wayfarer off in style. And you see that overnight, all the people that have come and gathered in Glenhaven have packed up their things. They've got wagons being pulled by mastiffs. Some of them are just wearing towering backpacks that look twice as tall as what you've managed to assemble, and you're shocked at what they've done.
Yeah, I definitely see that, clock that, and be like, well, I could have brought so much more stuff. Maybe I should get my other cloak.
You see Mr. Okades sitting on top of the local, there's a water mill, and he's sitting on the roof of that, and he's got a little lute, and he's just plucking away, and he sees you step out and says, "Well, how there, Mr. Glimki?"
Hello. Good to see you.
"I won't be making the trip with you today." And he goes, da, 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 da.
That's more than okay.
No. It's just my knee's acting up and I don't want to make the journey. But all the best to you, lad, and we'll see you soon when you return.
Thank you for that. I'll keep my eye out for some new musical equipment for you. Maybe I could bring back some fresh strings.
No need. I make my own. And he plucks at one of his hairs. And you're like, that's not how lutes work, but okay. Mr. Okades is a bit of an eccentric in a town full of eccentrics. But that's cool. We love him anyway. Yeah. And you see that as you make your way past this caravan that's formed, you see your family, the entire family, in fact, is gathered this morning. You see your parents. Your dad is now talking to your mom, who's a slightly older gnomish woman. She's wearing a nice fall dress. It's this lovely, earthy brown color, and she's got a traveling cloak on. And you see they're fiddling with a carriage that's going to be pulled by this real mean donkey that you've known your whole life. Wiggle Raggle. Real bastard of a beast, but there's no one you'd rather have pulling you in a carriage or in a wagon. Yeah. Carriage is perhaps a generous term, but Wiggle Raggle, the donkey, it's out a nice little and you see the rest of your siblings all helping load things up. You see several of the young ones, your nieces and nephews, are being bundled up and forced to sit down. They're young. Some of them are 2 or 3. One's just an actual baby. And your sibling Gloria, who is she's fiddling with a tiny child that she's kind of got attached to her, in a little
baby Bjorn.
Yeah, exactly. She looks up at you and she's got a tired expression on her face. She says, "Good morning, brother. How are you today?"
I'm doing well. I'm glad you made it. I would have totally understood if you wanted to get some extra rest with the youngins.
Oh, wouldn't miss it. Her husband, Wargy, who's this pot-bellied. If a gnome could be like a lumberjack, Wargy is that. He's just very, very thick, very squat man, barrel-chested gnome. And he says, "Hi, good evening. How are you today?"
I'm doing well.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you for coming.
You are greeted by a cacophony of everyone who sees you asking how you're doing. This goes on for far too long until your father steps up on top of the wagon and he claps his hands and says, "All right, then, we're setting off for the community center, and we should be there by evening, and then we'll really send the lad off in style. Ain't that right?
You bet, Dad.
Everyone cheers, and this procession sets off. Everyone knows that everyone who is about to wayfare usually has many days of celebration, of gift giving and merrymaking. This will be the 6th day of celebrations for Glimki Treefellow, and it is custom that the last day of anyone about to wayfare is spent at the base of Tilstoar. It is this great tree that was gifted to the people of Dwells by the elves of Uluthothiad many years ago. Tilstoar is what the elves who gifted it to the people of Dwells called it. Most people call it the Gathering Tree, and those that choose not to use either of those names often refer to it as the Community Center. And it is here that the gnomes from throughout Dwells gather to govern, mourn, celebrate, and discuss matters of the utmost importance. It is simultaneously wedding chapel, parliamentary building, funeral home, the site of many a nice picnic and celebration, a harvest feast, a spring festival, all take place at the Gathering Tree, Tilstoar. And yeah, under your father's instructions, the people start to move. There is music, and there's people dancing, and there's children running amongst the wagons and the carriages. There's a couple of scoopers that are running around with a wheelbarrow. There's just like 3 scoopers being carried by a 4th in a wheelbarrow.
Nice.
And this menagerie procession makes its way through Dwells, and you pass over many a shady brook and through many forest trails, down through a valley with a gentle flowing waterfall. You pass through fields of wheat and vegetables and potatoes and all these things that are getting ready for the fall harvest. You see quick fingers plucking mushrooms and hand smackers looking for fruit that is probably past its prime at this point. You see the people of Dwells. Just around each bend, you see a new familiar face that you're not going to see for some time.
So before we get there, can I check on Folly?
Sure.
Like, before we get to the festivities, I'd
Yeah.
like to touch base.
Please. Yeah, your sister is sitting in this wagon with you, and she's kind of dressed up for a celebration. She's got blonde hair, and it's nicely curled. She's got ribbons in it, and she's wearing a light blue dress. And despite the merry appearance that she has, she's got a rather serious expression on her face.
Okay, well, I'd like to break the ice by saying, okay, Folly, I've seen and I've been over this list of books, but I'm starting to think that you've made some of these up.
Give me a insight roll.
Okay. Uh-oh. That's a nice 6.
You look for some telltale sign of deception. Whenever she's lying, she can't help but smirk. The right side of her smile kind of just always like twitches up a little bit whenever she's pulling a prank, and you look very closely for her giveaway, and you don't see one despite your suspicion. And she says, "No, they're all real, I promise."
If you say so.
She says, "Let me look at the list. I might need to add a few additional ones."
Look here. Number 6, the Enchanted Harp Song of Tales of the Fate. Where am I supposed to find something like that?
Oh no, a bookstore, a library.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking that this is a tall order. You know, I'm supposed to be out there finding myself, not all these books.
I guess if it's too much work for you, then
Well, no. Of course, I
it's
want
fine.
to.
No, it's fine. I mean, you're gonna go off wayfaring, and I'm gonna be left alone with that Billy Scrafter, and he's such a bore. And
Billy Scrafter.
yeah, Billy Scrafter.
Who the heck is Billy Scrafter?
Billy Scrafter,
No.
not Billy Glossfern. If you're thinking of Billy Glossfern, that's the different Billy. Billy Scrafter, he's the one with the red hair and all the freckles, and he always likes to pull on my braids when I'm not all done up.
Yeah. Billy Scrafter, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell your other siblings to make sure that he doesn't hang around as much as he does.
They're not going to have any time for me. They're all busy. They got their own kids, and wasn't so long ago I was the baby of the family, and now everyone's too busy looking after the actual babies, and well, you're not going to be here anymore. She looks up at you and says, Whisper of the Gorge. Could you add that one to the list? It's supposed to be...
The gorge.
Yeah, it's about this guy, and he goes to a gorge, and it whispers to him, and I don't really know anything beyond that. I'm kind of just basing everything I know off the title.
Okay, Whispers of the Gorge added to the list, of course.
Okay, perfect.
And hey, of course everyone is building families, but that's what makes us so great here in Dwells. I like to imagine it like the whole city's one big flower. There's sometimes some pretty leaves or maybe some thorny elements, but that's not what makes a flower a flower. It's all of it together, Holly. Okay, so even with the bad, it all makes it good.
She looks at you and says, You got into Miss Plumdale's pipeweed, didn't you?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to be bored without you around, but that's okay. As long as you come back with lots of books, then I'll forgive you.
I promise I will come back with at least one.
Oh, also, could you bring the Lightning Wolf back? I really want to read the Lightning Wolf.
The Lightning Wolf?
Yeah, it's about a wolf, and it's made of lightning, I think. I don't really know much beyond that. I saw it when a pilgrim came through. I saw it in his bag, and I wanted to steal it, but I didn't, because he caught me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean...
Come on, it's about a wolf made of lightning.
Lightning Wolf, yes.
What did you expect me to do? Not take it?
I'll make it. I'll add it to the list.
Thank you. Gosh.
I will miss you, Folly.
Yeah, I know.
And before you know it, you'll be on your own adventure.
Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I'm not ancient like you, so...
Ancient?
Mike, you're 80 years old! You're old!
Yeah, not even 100, so...
You're old! Gosh.
Yeah, well,
so weird you hang out with me. Don't you have any friends your age?
I mean, well, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
He's out wayfaring himself, so...
Yeah, I know.
And maybe I'll bump into him on the road. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Give me a perception check.
Okay. Oh, God. This is really, really high. 4.
She kind of turns her face away and stares back out at the road. Everything's good, and the rest of the trip goes by uneventfully. You see that the sun up in the sky above you starts to glow this sort of darker orange color, a deeper orange. The sun does not set on Zav, famously, but you do know that it explodes with a certain degree of regularity, and usually this sort of deep orange color is a precursor to that, and you know that soon it'll be... Sundown is the wrong word. I've been talking with your contemporaries. Sunsplode has been floated as a more accurate descriptor.
Sunsplode, yeah.
And you know that Sunsplode is probably no more than 30 minutes away.
Would it like a nova?
Ooh.
Like supernova, but not.
What a an unsupernova.
Yeah, but like a nova, yeah. Like
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
at the end of a day, start of the new day.
What a hoity-toity word for such a simple man, but I like it. A nova. Yeah, as Nova is approaching, you crest over a hill. Wiggle Raggle kind of hee-hawing indignantly. It's been on the road for quite some time. And you round this crest in the hill and you see a beautiful valley spread out before you. And at the center of it is a tree, hundreds of feet tall, 300, maybe 400. No one's measured it.
Good, because that would ruin the allure.
It would, yeah. If people had like a sign and just said, see our tree, it's 397 feet tall. Yeah. Where'd the mystery be?
Yeah.
It's easily 50 feet wide at the base, at the the trunk of it, and it is Tilstoir, the gathering tree. Your father sees it and says, "All right, well, should have just enough time before Nova to get everything set up, and then this party can begin." And the processional makes the rest of its way down to the base of this tree, and people kind of spring to life, and anyone who was starting to tire or nodding off as the miles went by, they spring to attention and people start to put up tents, and there's some storage facilities
Oh my
nearby.
goodness.
They pull out tables and stumps that have been preserved and what have you. Fires are lit and food starts to be cooked. Several cooking pots get put
Oh,
down
yeah.
and people start throwing together stews, and kegs of ale are rolled out and set up on the back of wagons and wheelbarrows. It starts to take on the appearance of like a tailgate party, if you will.
Hell yeah.
And as you are walking around, you're the birthday boy. You're the guest of honor. You are exempted from all of this preparatory work, and
I think Glimki would still be trying. He's pulling out tablecloths. He's pulling up chairs.
yeah, you start trying to help out, and your hand is smacked away. You're shooed off by several older gnome ladies.
Every group, yeah.
Yeah, you go from Quickfinger to Dabberly to Sheldercomb. You kind of go to each of them. You see the Fixies, or a family that descends from the Tinkermans. They're kind of setting up this long table that's going to be this like long dining table. They're quickly erecting that, and they shoo you off, and you wander over to there's a nearby creek, and you see several of the scoopers have little pans, and they're looking for nice rocks that they can use as like a place setting, and they start throwing the rocks at you and laughing when you try and help out. And you see some quick fingers. They're descendants of the Pickertons. You see them kind of walking around and grabbing some last minute vegetables from nearby plots and shared garden spaces.
This is my favorite thing. I love this so much. I like him smiling the whole time because it's so cute.
You see a young ginger gnome that you recognize as Billy Scrafter,
Son of a...
just lounging under a tree, and you're like, all right, maybe I can just like lounge for a bit. And he's like, I don't think so.
What do you know, Billy?
You look up into the tree and you see a Sheldercomb who is a cousin of yours. Sheldercombs are part of the Treefellow lineage, and he's up in the tree keeping a watch to make sure nobody's sneaking up on you. The Treefellows and their kin can sometimes be a little paranoid. I think of the gnomes, they're some of the hardest to get to just relax, and you're like, nothing's going to happen. Like, come on. But he's very intent on making sure that nothing does. And yeah, you kind of wander around for a while, and as you're wandering around talking to people trying to find work, the sun explodes.
Nice.
It erupts, and cosmic stardust, shades of green and purple and molten amber red, go bursting out and fill the night sky in this routine nightly cosmic event.
So rad.
And the sun disappears from the sky, and the light slowly fades and dissipates. The two moons continue to, or begin to glow, rather, this brilliant white light, a little fainter perhaps than you would see on our own planet, but still providing enough illumination that you can see clearly what's going on. And as that happens, the party begins in earnest, and a vast cacophony of instruments begin to tune up. Everyone who's brought a pot or a stick with a string attached to it, or perhaps a proper fiddle or any other lute, lyre, instrument, whatever, begins to play, and people start playing, and you've got just the most Hobbit-ass sounding music. Da 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 da. People start dancing, and food is served, and there's delicious stews made with vegetables pulled right from the earth here. There is ale flowing, everyone is drinking and enjoying mugs of delicious ales and beers made from the barley grown in the valley here. You see a couple of the younger being a relative term, but a couple gnomes in their 60s pull out a little bag of pipe weed, start smoking and blowing smoke rings. They offer you some if you want.
Yep.
There we go, yeah.
And to think Folly had thought I'd done this earlier.
Give me a performance check.
Heck yeah, dude. Performance?
Mm-hmm.
18, dude.
18. What does your smoke ring look like?
Oh, goodness gracious. Just super circular.
A perfect circle. The kind of circle that they say only a psychopath can make is what you managed to blow forth from your perfect
It's like,
noble
when
lips.
people do that thing where they draw a circle with like a straight arm on a chalkboard. It's that circle.
It's that circle. I love it. Yeah, and as you're going around, is there anyone you're seeking out? Anyone you're trying to see before this night ends?
I mean, no, yes. Folly is the one that I wanted to talk to, but I don't know how she's doing, to be honest. I think when Glimki saw the sun explode, that sense of like, oh god, this is real, kind of like set in. So now it's kind of like, okay, how do I just distract myself until the morning comes?
Yeah. As you're looking for ways to distract yourself, could you make a perception check for me, please?
Yeesh. Oh, wow. I'm rolling super good. I got a 1.
With a 1, you look around for another pipe. You're looking for some more pipe weed, and you fail to see Calbus and Roswin Corell sneak up on you. And you see these two ruddy looking gnomes, kind of uncombed hair, their shirts, his shirt is untucked, her dress is kind of like falling off of one shoulder, and he says, off to see the world, are you, lad?
Oh, please. Not today, of all the days.
And the other one, Roswin, she says, now, are you gonna leave without giving me a kiss?
Yes. That's an easy one. Thank you. Next question.
She rolls a 18 as she smacks you across the face and storms off angrily. Calbus says,
Yeah.
That wasn't very nice. Should have let my wife kiss you.
Well,
should have let me watch.
Okay, I don't know what it is with you Corells, but every time you guys bring this up, it's always a no.
You'll change your mind once you see the world. You come back in 2 years, you come find me, and I'll watch you kiss my wife.
Have you ever even been on a Wayfarer? I've seen you my entire life.
Why would I? I've got everything I need in Dwells right here. My wife, ale, an endless stream of young gnomes willing to kiss my wife. What else could I need?
Has anyone taken you up on that offer?
Yes.
I don't believe you.
Give me an insight roll.
Oh my god. 4.
Yeah, he seems adamant in his belief. You choose not to believe him, but he seems very convinced of the cuckoldry that takes place in the Quarel estate. Estate being a generous word. Hovel, perhaps, is a better one.
Listen, Quarel.
What?
Mr. Quarel, sir.
Call me Calbus Quarel.
Sorry,
Mr. Quarel is my father.
What is your name, Talbus?
Calbus? What the hell?
What did you say? Sorry, a little too much of the stank, you know what I'm saying? What did you say?
He downs his mug of ale and then just wanders off. Does not speak to you. Does not answer your question.
Okay.
And you just hear him as he wanders off. He says, who's gonna kiss my wife?
Oh my god. There's always one.
As he wanders off, you turn and you find yourself suddenly face to face with someone you were not expecting to see. It is a young gnomish man about your age, early 80s, late 70s, somewhere in there. And you see he's got long, kind of flowing auburn hair down to his shoulders, and he's got a pair of thick glasses on, and he is your friend, Felzer Fixies. And he says, surprise!
What are you doing here?
Well, I wasn't going to miss my best friend setting off now, was I?
Glimki just gives him a big hug.
And he returns it. You're really happy to see him. It's been not that long, honestly, if you think about it. Like, sometimes the days kind of blend into each other, but he left last summer. So it's been well under 2 years.
Okay, well, I've got a bone to pick with you.
Oh, what'd I do?
Well, if you're here,
yeah,
then who the heck am I supposed to bump into on the road?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps a knight or a wizard or a big old bear. You'll find someone.
Oh god, Felser, this changes everything. I had it all mapped out.
Oh.
I pictured the first 3 months of solitude and sadness, and then right when I was going to decide whether or not to keep going or to come home, I was going to happily bump into you on the road, and then it would all make things better, and then we would continue the journey as friends. Now,
He's kind of got this easy smile on his face, and then it fades a little. Like, it doesn't completely disappear, but he says, "Yeah, oh no, I had the same plan, you see, and then I didn't run into you because you were here, of course, and I don't know, I just got homesick. I want to come home early.
oh jeez.
That's all enough. World's a scary place. It's tough out there, and I don't know, people aren't like they are in Dwells. I always knew what to do here.
That's exactly what I was saying.
It's confusing, and I don't know. It wasn't for me."
But everything we talked about, I thought, we're bigger than this, the big dreams. Did you get to see the cities? And
I mean, I saw a few, not all of them. There's a lot of cities out there.
But did you get your big adventure? Your stories to tell?
Yeah, I got quite a few. Give me an insight roll, if you will.
Oh my god. He's your friend, damn it, you should know him.
I'll give you an advantage on this,
Okay, nice.
because he is your best friend. You've known him your whole life.
Okay, the first roll was a 17, the next one was a 5, so thank goodness. I was rolled well anyways.
Felser is lying through his teeth.
Yeah. I think Glimki's gonna let it slide, and what he's gonna do instead is put his hands on his shoulders and be like, "Hey, you don't have to share any now. I'm sure you're tired from the journey home. How about we do a little rain check, and when I'm back, we can trade stories."
That sounds good. I'd like that.
Is something wrong?
I didn't make it past Tailenshawn. I was going to catch a ship out there, and it seemed like the quickest way to see all the places I wanted to see, and I got mugged on my first night, and
Oh, Felser.
yeah, I lost everything I had with me, all my coin, everything but the clothes on my back. I spent the next year just scraping by and working odd jobs, and I didn't want to come home early, even though it's the only thing I wanted to do, and I ran into a cousin of mine. He said you were setting off, so I decided I would come back and surprise you. And
I am surprised.
yeah,
I'm so sorry, Felser. You didn't have the best of times, but the important thing is you made it home and you're safe. And I think the goal is to learn whether or not you're made for the bigger world out there, and I think you fit perfectly here, and that's nothing to be ashamed of.
give me a persuasion roll.
Okay, 10.
That's enough. He seems reassured by your words, and he kind of puts an arm over your shoulders and says, I knew I made the right choice coming back. It is stupid that you're leaving tomorrow, but that's okay. I'll wait here for you.
Stupid.
Well, I mean, I just got back, and now you're leaving, and I don't want to monopolize your time. But anyway, it was good seeing you.
Well, hold on here.
I'll see you when you get back, okay? And you're gonna just be careful if you head north. Watch out. Not every elf is as noble and elegant as they might have you believe. There's some mean ones out there. Sharp knives.
Good to know. Well, I'm glad you're here. I will try my best to be safe. Maybe I'll find your stuff. Who knows?
That'd be something.
Maybe they sold it to that store.
If you find the shiny red apple I had with me, I'd love to have it back. It looked really good.
Shiny red apple. I'll put it on the list.
Thanks, mate.
Shiny red apple, right after Whispers of the Gorge and Lightning Wolf.
You're going to wind up with a book called Shiny Red Apple, and your sister's going to be so disappointed.
Yeah.
And, you spend some time with him, and he did have like a few adventures in spite of the misadventures that kind of dominated his time away. It wasn't all bad.
I'm sure there's some stories that he can tell that like he doesn't think are cool, but then like in retrospect, it's like, you did what?
Yeah, totally. You're in a small town and he went to the big city, something you've never done, and that comes with a certain element of coolness. And you can tell, like, as you're talking and you're like visibly excited, he starts to feel a little bit better about his experience, even though it wasn't what he had envisioned for himself.
Mm-hmm.
After a little while, though, your mom, she comes up and she greets your friend and then says, "Hey, son, sorry to pull you away from your friend, but could I talk to you for a bit?"
Of course. What is it?
I think it's time. Do you have your offering with you?
Wait, what?
Your offering for Mulare.
Oh. Can you remind me what a good one would be?
Well, I mean, something that comes from the heart, typically. Why are you asking me about this now? You remembered to pack something for the spirit, right?
Well, hold on. I'm sure I've got something packed somewhere.
We we flash back to as you were packing up your stuff. You did grab something. You knew this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least, Glimki knew this was coming.
Yeah.
What is something that he would have grabbed? It is custom for those about to wayfare to make a offering, present something at the base of the gathering tree. They leave something for the great spirit Mulare, the Light Watcher. What is it that Glimki has elected to bring?
Something to bring. So it's fall, right?
It is.
Okay, so Glimki knew that this was coming in fall. Okay, he knew that he made this decision by himself a long time ago. So what he did was, with the help of Folly, he's made a journal of like pressed paper, and he's collected all of the spring and summer flowers from the start of the season, and they're all pressed in this book, and that's what he's gonna leave there at the community. Yeah,
amazing. So yeah, you tell your mother this, and she says, "Oh, good. I was starting to worry that you forgot to bring something, but that's a wonderful gift, son. The spirit will love it."
I hope so. And there's definitely there's a moment where Glimki was like, I did genuinely forget, and I was gonna bring this along just for keepsake, but I think this is a good time to leave it.
Nice. She says, I'll walk you to the tree. How's that sound, son?
Of course, yeah, and I put my arm out for her to walk with her.
Yeah, she holds on. She's probably in human years, like late 50s, maybe. Getting up there, still in good health and shape, but you can't help but wonder what she'll be like when you return and how long you will wind up being away for. There's no guarantees out there in the wider world. But she begins to walk you along, and she starts to tell you a few stories that you've heard. You've heard them dozens of times about her adventures when she was younger. Oh, and the troll. It said, "You must give me a toll." Will you believe that? A toll! Like something out of the stories.
I'm starting to believe that maybe you're making some of this stuff up. You and Folly are in cahoots.
No, I would. Oh, how dare you! Oh, you're going to be impertinent, like your sister. She's a bad influence on you.
Yes.
You weren't like this when you were younger.
No, yeah. She's got a good perspective on the world. Please do take care of her, Mother.
Oh, of course. I've taken care of 5 children before her. I'll take care of her, and she'll be just fine.
I mean, but let's be honest, Mother. She's a little bit different than the rest of us.
Yeah, but she reads more books than the rest of us, if anything. I don't think she's going to be getting herself into trouble. What's she going to do, strain her eyes?
She has been reading in the dark.
Oh. I'll have to buy her some candles.
Good idea. I'll add it to the list.
And you continue on down this path, the tree getting ever bigger. And she says, "Okay, well, I'll leave you here and, take the time you need." Some people say a quick prayer, some just leave their offering and walk away, but take as much time as you need, and I'll see you back at the party, okay?
Sounds good, Mom. Thanks for the reminder.
Of course. That's what mothers are for. And she turns and she walks back up the path. What does Glimki do?
I guess it's kind of quiet here.
Yeah, very. The music is quite a ways off. You hear the different sounds of music and it all kind of starts to fade away into the background.
I think like what Glimki does first, obviously he lays that book down, but I think when you like sit and you kind of like get not overwhelmed, but like the sound of silence can get really intense.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like looking for and hearing for every bit of nature sound that could fill his ears to really kind of surround himself in the moment. And I guess he picks that book back up and flips through some of its pages, like looking over, I guess like he can kind of note the months or the weeks of the certain flowers as he flicks through the pages, leading up to some of the late summer blossoms at the end of the book. And yeah, he sets it down, I guess kind of offering just like a little bit of a prayer here to Malari. Basically just, I think, asking for a bit of guidance. He says, I know that the journey in front of me is not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. It hasn't been like that even in Dwells. But the world that I'm going to explore, I've heard many horror stories, but others too of great adventures. I just hope that wherever I go, I can see a glimpse of this beautiful world that we have here. I don't want to lose sight or pull up my roots too far, and whatever happens out there, even if I am not able to return, I'm not going to forget this place or these people, and I hope they won't forget me.
As Glimki is sitting there, there's various items kind of scattered around the base of this tree. From wayfarers past, you see a lot of it is often like food offerings or things pertaining to the traditions of each gnome's family, their family lineage. You see little patterns of stones and nice pebbles. You see glittering little gems that have been pulled from the earth. You see fruit that is turned to compost. It's hard for a Treefellow. A basker might leave a song. A Pickerton might leave, like I said, something that they found. A rock bottom might leave a gem from the earth. A tinkerman might leave some creation they've made. How do you make an offering of vigilance? And while the Treefellows are held in high regard in Dwell's society, this is something that Glimki feels in this moment, and something more than just that feeling. You feel like you are not the first to feel this way, and that generations of Treefellows before you have struggled with the same question. What is an adequate gift? And you also know that while many have been quite eager to leave this place behind and to see the bigger world and to go on these grand adventures, you're quite certain that all have felt this sense of worry and this fear at the unknown that is lurking out there in the unknown world. And you sit there, and there's a little jar with fireflies that someone left as an offering, and they seem to be doing just fine in this jar. You're like, not sure how long that's going to last for, but okay. And you place your book down at the base of this tree. And you're, like you said, you're flipping through the pages, and you're looking at the different leaves and flowers that have been pressed within it. And you hear and you look up into the tree, and you see a large black crow. These black eyes slowly like glinting, reflecting the light of these jarred fireflies. You see it looking down at you, and it kind of cocks its head inquisitively and caws again.
Oh. Hello there.
And it hops down off of this branch and kind of glides down and lands on the ground next to you.
Are you hungry? And I kind of reach around for some bread or something that's been tucked away.
Yeah, you got a little pocket bread.
Of course.
What kind of party would it be if you didn't manage to steal a couple of pieces of pocket bread for oneself? And you offer out some bread, and it takes a piece and just cocks its head back and chokes it down, and then does a little crow hop over to the book and starts to cock its head once more and is looking at the pages, and then starts to peck at one of the
Whoa,
leaves.
what are you doing? I pick up the book. What do you do with this thing?
And it jumps up and it flies back into the branches, and you can see it like on a low branch looking down at you.
This is a gift for Mulari. So you can't take it, but you can have more bread if you'd like.
It pecks at the branch it's standing on.
Oh.
And then looks at you.
Oh. Are you Mulari? Okay, I'll put the book back.
It continues to stare at you.
I don't know what you want, Crow. You're very pretty, but I wait, can I speak to this thing? I actually think I can.
I think you can as well. Yeah. It's a small animal.
Yes, it is. Okay. What are you up to, man? How you doing?
It caws back and flies up to a higher branch, and I would say with your ability to communicate, you get the sense it wants you to follow.
You want me to go up the tree? I look back at the glow of the party, in the trees. Okay, sure. I guess if this is some sort of sign, and I start climbing up the tree.
You begin to climb. I'm going to need an athletics check from you.
Hell yeah, 19.
Okay. You find handholds and footholds and knots in this ancient tree. And despite its immense size, you start to climb it. And you get up to that first branch that the crow was in. And then you go from there up to a second branch and a third. And every time you get up to the branch it's on, it hops up and flies up to another one. Do you continue to follow?
How high am I at this point?
50 feet off the ground?
Okay, I look up at the bird. Listen, if this is who I think it is, what are we doing here? Because we're getting pretty high up. Okay, I mean, I got a long journey tomorrow, and if I hurt a leg, it's kind of putting a damper on the trip here. But I guess I'll do a couple more branches.
Give me another athletics check.
Yeah. Oh jeez. 5.
You start to climb, and the branches are still thick. It's an impossibly large tree. 100 of you would have to be standing on each other's heads for you to even come close to reaching the top of it. But you start to get nervous, and you step up onto a branch, and you happen to glance down, and your foot kind of slides off, and you suddenly have the wind knocked out of you as you kind of stumble down, and you fall down, and you catch yourself elbows up on this branch. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, 2. Well, 2 plus 1, 3.
Glimki falls. Glimki falls from 70 feet off the ground. And
that's 76.
Mm-hmm. Glimki takes 27 points of bludgeoning damage, and everything goes black.
What the frick?
You open your eyes.
Okay.
And you see, sitting on the ground in front of you is a small black crow with shiny, reflective eyes. You can see yourself in each of them.
Okay. Am I dead? What the hell? What's going on?
You look around and you see that you are in a vast open plain. You see grass swaying around you. You see that the sun, which is normally this blazing ball of fire, is a bird. And you've always known it's a bird. That's what you've been taught since you were a kid, but It's never looked like a bird. It's always just looked like a big, bright thing that you shouldn't stare at for too long. And you see it sort of flying around in circles above you.
Oh my god, I am dead.
The crow pecks at the ground in front of you and caws again and stares up at you.
God, fuck. I try to stand up and I'm just talking to myself like, Felser made it a year. I didn't even make it a day. Are you gonna talk to me or what?
It just caws and stares at you.
Okay, what else is around me? Just the flying, burning bird and the crow.
You look around, yeah. There's a flying, burning, blazing bird above you. There is a crow standing in front of you. And you look around, and you just see endless plains, rolling hills, swaying grasses.
Okay, listen up, bird. I don't know what the heck is going on here, but take me home or to hell. I don't know where we are. What the heck is going on here?
The crow flies away.
Okay, maybe I was a little harsh.
And Glimki is left alone.
Now what?
What do you do?
Do I have any of my stuff?
No, just whatever you had when you went up the tree.
Okay, so it's just fields and a flying phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I look at the burning bird. That bird didn't talk to me, Mrs. Godly Pharaoh, sir. Hello? Can you hear me?
If it can, it doesn't reply.
Oh, God.
You have to imagine to be this large of a bird. It must be a great deal away.
Okay, that's fair. I thought I liked birds, now I'm having second thoughts on them. My god, okay. Can I see anything else in the field? Just grass. No trees, no landmarks?
Not really. You see that in one direction, to your left, there's a hill that slowly starts to rise, but it seems to be like a rather small incline.
Okay, well, that looks as good a place as any, and I feel okay.
You feel fine.
Okay, I stretch my back out a little bit, and then I start walking towards the hill.
You start to walk. You don't know how far it is to this hill, but as you're watching, the sunbird above you explodes. And you continue to walk. And it is reborn, and you watch as this swirling dust of cosmic energy begins to swirl and reforms, and the bird is born anew. And a new day begins, and you continue to walk.
What the hell?
And the bird explodes, and it is reborn anew. And the hill doesn't get any closer.
Yeah, I start to run.
You begin to run. The bird explodes. It is reborn anew. The bird explodes. It is reborn anew. The bird explodes. It is reborn anew. The bird explodes.
What the hell is happening?
It is reborn anew.
Okay, stop.
You stop, and you realize you're at the top of the hill.
What the? Okay. Malari, maybe my prayer was misinterpreted. Or maybe I gave you a bad offering. I thought the book was nice. Now, I don't know what to think. Is this a sign? Am I dead? Please, any of the gods here? Anybody?
You look out, and you see the bird above you, burning persistently. And off on the horizon, you see a mountain range. Just peaks upon peaks filling the horizon.
Peaks of mountains?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, the hill was easy. That looks about the same size from here. So, I will start walking that way.
You set off, and you lose count of how many times the sun is destroyed and reborn.
The hell?
The shoes on your feet begin to wear thin and eventually fall apart, and you cast them aside. The ground is harsh. You find yourself climbing over crags and through ravines. The terrain gets more and more difficult. Your clothes start to tear, they rip, and Though you walk for what feels like weeks, months even, years perhaps, your worldly possessions fade away. You don't hunger, you don't thirst, you don't really tire. And one day, you find yourself standing at the base of a mountain range.
Okay, well, I made it this far, and if I can make it this far, I can make it that far again, just one step at a time. And I'll place another shaky foot in front of the other.
Your feet are calloused, they are toughened by years on the road, and you begin to climb. And whatever scraps of fabric that you still clung to your body are torn away as winds ripple through your hair, pulling at you, tugging at you, trying to drag you off this mountain. And you continue to climb, and you hold fast, and you climb for decades, centuries, until one day you see yourself at the top, and you see the entirety of creation borne out before you. You see a small flat disk floating in an endless sea of stars. But as you're looking, the mountain opens. It splits in two, and you realize it was no mountain at all, but a beak.
What?
As you are absorbed into an impossibly large crow that bursts forward from the ground, only to spit you out upon the ground from which you had came from.
What the hell?
And you look up and you see towering over you, 100, 500, 1,000 feet tall, this crow. Bigger than any mountain you've ever seen, eyes that each are the size of a moon, staring down at you, and it opens its mouth, and it says, "Sometimes a crow is just a crow, and you really ought to be more careful as to which ones you trust. That was a very large tree you attempted to climb."
Yeah, the biggest.
Perhaps.
Who are you? And am I dead?
Well, I am the one you thought you had found.
What?
And not exactly. You are between worlds, between states of being.
Sorry, wait, who are you?
I am Mulari, the Light Watcher.
Oh my god.
The one you thought you had found, flittering around the branches of my tree.
Oh, I see, yes, okay. Sorry, it's been like what feels like a lifetime since that fall.
And yet it has been merely seconds. And you look down and you see you are fully clothed. The book you brought with you is at your feet.
What?
And you look up at the top of this 1,000-foot crow and you see a second pair of glittering eyes as you see a small regular-sized crow standing upon its head, and it caws at you.
What the hell? Malari, well, I mean, wow. An honor to meet you, if this is real. I hope you like the book.
Everything is real.
Okay, well, I hope you like the book.
Everything is imagined. Who is to say?
That's very confusing and very poetic. Why, would Glimki have heard anybody of interacting with gods or spirits at all to this nature?
Nothing like this.
Okay, so this would be like, this is like, whoa, no one has told something about this.
No, occasionally people have claimed to have seen the spirit, and some people seem to be just making it up for clout. Others appear to believe in what they're saying. Occasionally, a particularly graceful deer has, appeared to a band of gnomes, and it has graced them with its presence. And other times, a wolf has howled at the exact moment that a watchman was nodding off, and it has alerted them to the approach of an outsider bringing ill tidings, or ill intent, rather. There's signs. The religious amongst your community believe that Mulari appears in many ways, and not always direct ones, and this is about as direct as it could be.
Yeah. So, Malari, forgive me for the question, and again, I'm honored to meet you, but why the trick?
What trick? And it cocks its head curiously.
Wait, so you did not lead me up the lead me up the tree?
Sometimes a crow is just a crow.
What? Damn, that crow! It tried to kill me.
Yeah, it merely wanted you to follow him.
I guess so. You're right. Who am I to know the great mysteries of nature that is your domain, sir? And I now kind of getting a grasp on the situation. Again, forgive me, Malari, and I kind of take a knee here. What is it that you've presented yourself here for me to see you like this? No reason.
Ah, there was a question in there. You are not here because I have called you. You are here because you climbed a tree after a night of drinking and revelry,
Oh,
and you fell to your death.
oh,
But you have impressed me. You showed a tenacity of spirit, a curiosity that is remarkable, even amongst one of your lineage. You showed a certain resolve, a belief that perhaps was unwarranted, but refreshing at the same time.
well, I thank you. Sorry, we just skimmed over a part. I am dead. Ugh.
Well, yes and no. You are in a state of limbo, neither living nor dead.
I just, obviously, hopefully this isn't too much to ask, but if you have any say in the matter, can you please give me another shot? I have a long list of things I'm supposed to gather on this trip, and I haven't even gotten to go on it yet.
Malari tilts its head back and begins to caw, and you believe it's laughing. And then, as suddenly as it began, it shuts its beak and it looks down at you with these two eyes,
Oh,
these two perfect black pools, and it stares at you for what feels like an incredibly long time without saying anything. But you are scared. You are scared to set out into the world, are you not?
I,
Scared of what you will leave behind and that you will be forgotten?
well, I mean, yeah, of course, but
Yet you still wish to go.
of course, all of my friends and family have gone on some wonderful adventures, and I'm looking for a piece of that too. And it was a nice reminder when leaving the gift that everyone goes through this moment of hesitation, and I'm certain that once I leave tomorrow, if I leave tomorrow, then that anxiety will fade away, and the confidence will come with each steady foot plant after the other. I I am sure of that.
Very well. Then I present to you a choice. And you watch as the two black pools that are Mulari's eyes, you watch as they begin to swirl and shift. And you see in one eye yourself, lying broken upon the ground, lights and fires and revelry in the distance. You may return to where you were, and you may continue upon your journey. Or, and the other eye stays black. Or you may know peace, and you need not face the dangers and uncertainties that lay before you.
He takes a moment and looking at his contorted figure there. I guess reaching into his imaginary poche and pulls out that list of things that's been growing and reads over all of the book titles, the red shiny apple, candles, and a myriad of other items that have been added to the list of every person he's interacted with over the course of the day. He goes, well, you know, it's not just up to me if I go through and I don't follow through. Sure, that looks like it's gonna suck for a minute, but but it would suck even more for the rest of the people waiting for these. So I got a lot to live up to. So I'd like to go back if I could.
Very well. You are intriguing, Glimki Treefellow.
Thank you.
I have watched you for many years, running amongst my roots and climbing amongst my branches, though never as high as you did upon this evening.
Maybe the highest ever.
No.
Ah, dang it.
And it closes its beak and is quiet for a great amount of time. You see in the black eye just nothing, not even your reflection, just an empty black void that continues forever. And you see in the other eye your mother, who decided to come back and check upon you. And she screams, though you do not hear it. And you watch as the entirety of the party quickly runs over and stands around you, staring down at your mutilated body. And the crow speaks once more and says, "You have impressed me. And I am fearful of what is to come. Perhaps.
Perhaps. What could you be afraid of, Malari?
These two eyes that are not actually eyes look down upon you, and you just are brought closer to the sight of people observing your death and the effect that has. And the crow says, "That is my concern at this time. But I would offer you, perhaps, a covenant. You may leave at any time. You are not obligated to accept this. You shall return to where you were without accepting my offer. Do not think that your rebirth is contingent upon your acquiescence. It is not. But the same, I would invite you to be my champion, to help bring light to a world that sits amongst unknowable darkness. What say you, Glimki Treefellow?"
Well, if you give me the gift of life, then I feel as though I owe you something, at least in return.
You owe me nothing.
Well,
You may accept of your own volition.
I would be honored, Malari. I would gladly accept.
Then swear an oath to me on this day that you will kindle the light and shelter it against the darkness. That you will both be the light onto this world, and that you will seek to preserve your own light and not let it darken or diminish out there amongst the shadows.
I swear it.
The bird cocks its head back, and with the force of an asteroid, brings its beak swinging down into the ground at your feet, stopping what feels like centimeters from you, and the ground splits. You see a great chasm opens up, and you see 3 glowing balls of light start to rise up from this fissure in the earth. And you see they rise up until they're floating before you, and then they begin to dim. And you see 3 things stationed before you. You see a glowing raven made of light. You see a cloak that contains the stars within it. And you see a leaf. Perhaps a leaf from the tree that you fell from. Perhaps a leaf from somewhere else entirely. The crow speaks once more and says, "Choose one, and may it aid you on your journey."
A crow, cloak, and a leaf. The crow kind of effed me up. But sometimes a crow is just a crow. Sometimes it's not. Cloak with the stars. That's pretty rad. I already have a cloak. I have 2. The leaf is kind of sweet. I would like to choose the leaf.
You reach out and you grab the leaf. And Mulari speaks once more and says, "You need no other god but me. Remember my name, and I will remember yours. Glimki Treefellow."
Mulari. I remembered.
Watch the light on my behalf. My sight is powerful, but I am bound to the lands that I protect. Be well, Glimki Treefellow. And Mulari bends its head down until it is presenting one eye before you. The one that depicts everyone standing around you. And it speaks no more. What do you do?
Okay, time to go back through the portal into the pain. Yeah, I guess I go back through.
Okay. You step into Mulari's eye. And as you cross the threshold, your own eyes open. You feel no pain.
Oh.
You feel confusion as you look up and you see 100 gnomes standing around you. But you feel fine.
Damn, okay. Hey. I look okay? Am I messed up?
You look down at your limbs. They're straight and unbroken.
What the...
And Folly, you see her standing at the edge of the crowd, and she says, "Looks like somebody had a bit too much to smoke, huh?"
Okay, now you're right.
You see your mother, Aster, looking at you, and she says, "There's something different about you, son."
But whatever do you mean, Mother, as I kind of dust myself off you?
I'm not certain, but...
It's just the wayfaring glow, and I give her a nudge.
Your older brother, though you have several, but Asdoni, to be specific, he says, "No, there's something different about you, all right.
Oh.
You seem taller, or...
Really?
Shorter, or...
Oh.
Weren't you broke... I don't know. There's something different about you, that's all. That's all I know."
I've been eating a lot more lately. Maybe I did grow a little bit. What are we all standing around for? There's a party.
You pull yourself to your feet, and the crowd gasps as you do so. And you don't know what it is that they are reacting to.
What's going on?
Your father speaks up and says, "You've been touched by the spirit."
How did you know? I'm like a dog chasing its tail right now.
Yeah, you look around. You kind of look at your arms, you look at your legs, you look around, and you reach up to your head, and you just feel a blanket of leaves.
What?
You feel around, and you kind of like pull at one, and the same leaf that you chose, that Mulari offered you, you reach up and you feel you have a handful.
So my hair is leaves?
Your hair is leaves.
What the heck? What? Okay. That's new.
Your father steps towards you and then looks at the crowd and says, "All right, everybody, back to the party. Clearly everything is fine. Something perhaps strange has happened this evening, but there's no need for gawking. Carry on, would you?" And the crowd, with the exception of your siblings and your parents, dissipates. And you are left with your family. Your father approaches you and says, "You do not need to tell us what has happened. I am just happy that you are all right. If you wish to discuss it, I am, of course, here for you.
I mean, hey, look, I have nothing to hide. I am 0 days into wayfaring, and I already have the coolest story of my life. My hair is leaves.
Your hair is...
Have you ever heard of
leaves.
something like this?
I cannot say that I have.
And with a big turnaround to his siblings, ha! Day 1. It's only up from here.
Folly immediately runs over and starts pulling at your hair, and it hurts. Every time she plucks at a leaf, and it doesn't feel good. She says, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool."
I know. It's only up from here. The stories are only going to get better.
I would say that everyone's clearly curious, but I think everyone kind of accepts that this is day 1 of your wayfare. They thought it was the day before, but it seems like it began a little early. And they contend that they will perhaps have to wait to find out exactly what has happened on this evening. The night continues, and there's a certain reverence that perhaps wasn't there before. There was respect, but it was, came from being the special boy.
Just a name, yeah.
Yeah. One of many special boys that have each embarked upon their own wayfare, but there is something different about you. Something has clearly visibly changed, and the people are so curious and so confused and just beyond impressed and curious, I guess. It just keeps coming back to curiosity. They're just you just know that people are going to be talking about this party for decades to come.
Nice.
The night eventually wraps up, though, and the party dies down. Some people decide to set off that evening. Others make camp and sleep in tents or hammocks that they have brought with them. Some sleep in the back of wagons. Some sleep in barrels. But eventually, all rest, and you awaken the next morning, and you are made to say goodbye. It is time to leave. And I would say that everyone who is not immediate family or Felser sets off.
Mm-hmm.
They understand that their time was last night, and this morning is for those that are closest to you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you say goodbye. Is there anything particular you wish to say to any member of your family?
It's more like a blanket to everyone. Obviously, I'm taking this as a good sign, and I know that some of you, Mom and Dad, are probably worried, but much like the siblings before me, I promise I'll be back with stories to tell eventually, to share with all of you, and maybe a little bit more about how this hair came to be. So please be patient with me and take care of one another. Folly, please don't stop, pursuing all of those books and your creativity, because you're going to be the one to have to turn my word vomit into a storybook of your own one day. Yeah, thanks, guys, for everything you did.
They kind of pull you into this big Treefellow group hug, and Folly says, yeah, hurry up and leave so you can come back already. And
okay.
and your father says, take this the right way. I am less worried about you than any of your siblings that left before you. You travel with Mulari's blessing, and I know that you will be all right wherever your journeys take you.
Thanks, Dad. I hope that rings true.
You kind of have these little last second goodbyes with the remainder of your siblings, and your mom says, can I walk you the first little bit?
Of course.
The two of you set off. You begin to head north, and it's quiet. There's not really much to say, and you walk a couple miles together until you reach a small bridge with a lazy creek running through it. And she says, all right, well, I'd go with you the entire way if I could. Just know that, but I'll see you soon, okay?
I'll be back before you know it. Last chance, Mom. I've got you down for candles. Is there anything else?
Some candles will be fine. And she
Perfect
immediately
candles.
starts to sob and like pulls you in close and gives you this big hug. Though you stand a few inches taller than her, she pulls you in close. Then without another word, she turns back from the direction you came, and you are left alone. And you begin to walk. And you travel north. The sun that is a phoenix completes its journey to Keshiel, the small moon, and winter begins. And while the days don't shorten in length, they certainly get colder. And you arrive in the elven port city of Talon Shan, a place where your friend Felzer, where his journey ended, more or less. But for you, it is just a beginning. It is your first time seeing the ocean.
Oh my gosh.
And you spend many a day just sitting down at the harbor, watching the ships sail in and the waves crash endlessly. And it enchants you. On one night of revelry, you're out at a local pub. You meet a group of Dragonborn merchants from Arsha who are setting off in a few days' time to return home to the land of the Dragonborn. And they are extremely curious about your hair that is not hair, and they invite you to join them. And you accept, and you set sail a few days later on the Scalbard. You land a weeks later in Al-Arsha and spend time exploring the various islands and the main island where the Dragonborn gather, the Dragon Lords meet. You see lush jungles that are so different from those that you are familiar with, the forests that you are familiar with. You see volcanoes smoking and spouting. You are told that the large volcano, it is where Macrog himself resides, though you know that is not true, because the gods do not reside on Zav. You know not where it is they reside exactly, but you think you might have been there, if not for a second. You spend much of the winter in Al-Arsha. It's warm, and you avoid much of the snow, but eventually you decide to return to the mainland, and you sail south. And you begin to travel east along the coast. One night you were camping in a forest, and you hear the sound of music nearby, and you venture over, and you see a group of boundless pilgrims, halflings with no home, who travel Zav in an endless cycle, never resting for more than a few days at a time at any given place. And they are also taken with your hair that is not hair, and they invite you to join them as well. And for a time, you travel with them. They perform, entertain in small towns. You see them trade a night's rest in exchange for a quilt or a glass of wine, and you see them, they have no appreciation of money or coin. They perform in exchange for a story or a compliment. And then eventually you reach a town, a small town on a crossroad. The sign outside says Little Hamlet, and you spent a few days there.
I know this place.
You do. One day you see a tailor's shop called Bodkins on the Cross, and you venture inside and you meet an elven woman, middle-aged. She speaks differently than the others in this town. There's a certain refinement to her accent that sets her apart, not just her elven lineage in a town mostly filled with humans. Perhaps you buy a cloak.
Heck yeah.
And you continue to travel east until you reach the Boiscola Peninsula. And you know that this is the home of Erdenine, the crown jewel of the Crownlands, the tip of the trident. Anyone who grew up in Dwells has heard stories of Erdenine, a city of wonders, a city beneath the ocean, a city full of artisan wizards who craft arcane sculptures for the joy of creation. And you feel like you would be remiss if you did not go there. And you travel. You travel north up the coast of the peninsula, until one day you see a city, and you see part of the city is at sea level, several islands with a castle at the far end overlooking the Elseween Ocean. And you see other parts of the city are below sea level. There is a massive wall built around the city that keeps the sea at bay, though you see at certain parts it seems to cascade over, and you don't understand why the city isn't flooded, why it isn't destroyed. The ocean is pouring into it, and yet it persists. And you follow the road that you're on until you are before the city walls. And that is where we shall end.
Nice. Man, you're very good.
No.
Yeah, damn. You did so much stuff.
No.
We did it. All of us together. Me, you, us. We did it. 3 chapter zeros. Wow. Most books have no chapter zeros. They call it a prologue, but not us. It's chapter 0. Anyway, I'm your rambling dungeon master, Zach Meikle, and I was joined in this episode by my dear friend Jordan Johnsen as Glimki Treefellow. If you're enjoying the show, we'd really appreciate a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and we've got some really cool content available on TikTok and Instagram at bard_soup. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the return of our regularly scheduled episodes with Chapter 12. So until then, stay frosty and love you. Bye.